Welcome back to Moorway South. Today I'm building another Metcalfe model, which is the 00 gauge engine shed. It's going to go on the northern section of the layout. Before I get into that, here's some updates on what I've been doing in the train room. One thing I have noticed is that during the hours of darkness, when I'm using the main light in the room, the area underneath the east side of the track, the control area, is quite dark. So what I've done is I've used 3 of the LED strips you can get as a self-adhesive strip. I bought these in Maplin. I bought about a metre's worth, and I've been using them for under the kitchen cupboards and in the wardrobes, bedroom wardrobes. So I've got 3 here, and then just soldered onto the connectors on the end, and then wired up to this switch here, which allow me to operate the light during the hours of darkness. And this is how it looks. This is another one of the great Metcalfe card kits here. I've had several already. There's some other videos available on my channel. They're made in England, Yorkshire, by Metcalfe. This particular kit is the engine shed and the little workshop. Here's a view of the front. It's got the trusses coming down where we're going to fit some LED lights to that, similar in style to the one I did the goods shed. I'm hoping later on to get the water tower and the sand house. It'll form a nice little section in the north of the layout for putting the old steam locos in. Within the kit you find everything you need apart from the glue, obviously. As I've explained previously, I'm using PVA glue. Got 2 sets of instructions, very detailed, very comprehensive, easy to follow, diagrammatic instructions, really good. All the card sections pre-printed with weathering detail as well, pre-cut. You just have to cut the edges. All really good quality, nice thick quality card. Roof bits, glazing, clear plastic, nice thick quality as well. So that really good. That's the roof trusses, which are on self-adhesive backs. And in a similar manner to when I did good shed, I'm going to put lighting into those. So everything's there, ready to go. I'm also going to make use of this piece left over from the goods shed to make little box covers for the lighting that's going to go here on the above the entrance. So this is the little mock-up in thin card of the light housing that I'm going to use, just so I can get a position for putting the LED on. You can see there how there's going to be space inside of the LED. This brick fascia here I've glued on temporarily with a couple of spots of glue, just so that I've got the position available for the light housing. So I have the piece of brickwork that I had left over from a previous kit, but also interestingly I do supply a small section of spread brick to cover joints, but I can use some of that if I need to. And interestingly, the light openings, the window openings in the roof for the glazing, I can use those as a piece of roof for my light colours. So I've taken the small template and drawn copies on the back of the brickwork. I've done 4 in case some of them go wrong. I only need 2, but now I'll cut those out to form the actual brick boxes that will take the lights. So you can see here now I've got the 2 yellow LEDs in place, and they're going to be, obviously they'll end up underneath the cover like that, so they're not visible but the light will shine down. And on the other side you can see that I've marked the cathode of both LEDs so that when I wire it up later on I know where I'm going. I'm going to have a function in place which is to keep the positive on the right hand side of the building when looking at it, same as I've done with the track. The positives on the outside of the track. So it's good to have a system in place to stick to. I should be able to just wire these 2 LEDs up together across there, and then put a wire out to the sides and then put the backing card on. This is the wiring diagram for the LEDs, found online through a website that I've named below. I can't wire all 12 in series because there's not enough voltage for the voltage drops for each LED, but I can do them in groups of 4, as in this diagram. So I've got 3 blocks of 4 LEDs to light for this particular kit. So this is the wiring finished on the back of the gable end, with a wire each side to come out to be joined into the whole circuit. And now I'm going to glue the grey backing boards on to thicken up that wall and then wrap around the edges. This is the finished entrance to the engine shed with my two light coverings. On the back you'll see I marked it, the cathode for the LEDs, the negative side, so I can see what's what when I can put those together. I'm very impressed with it. It looks really good. You see the LEDs hopefully under there, and how they're covered by the little boxes with the roof sections from the leftovers. It almost looks like it was part of the actual original, which is really good. There's a section here where there was a bit torn off when I took off the fascia part after I glued it in position to work out where the boxes go, and I put a little strip of extra brickwork in there just to cover that up, but it's hardly noticeable. I'll show you the lights on there, the view of the lights coming down when I put it all together. Something I have noticed is that the good shed I made previously has inner walls for both gable ends. You see here. Whereas on this engine shed it's only the closed end that's got the inner brick wall. There's some bits on the pillars of the entrance but not above it where the louver is. So what I'm going to do is use the spare bit of brickwork to cover that over, because obviously, as with the good shed, I'm intending to leave the roof unglued so that the inner workings can all be seen, and this will look a bit strange if it's cardboard, so I'll be using this to cover this. So this is the truss prepared, roof truss with the two LEDs. Got two LEDs underneath there, wiring comes through there, the leads are long enough to join the middle, soldered there, and then a wire on each one, and I mark the cathode there so that when I seal it up I know which end I'm working on. So this is the current stage I'm at. This is the front of the engine shed with the two extra lights on there, the wiring coming out. These are the finished roof trusses. We've got the pieces, short pieces of heat shrink sleeving over the LED to act like a little cowl, and they're all glued up. One thing that's interesting is, if you remember from the good shed, the trusses are much deeper at the bottom here. I've got a picture of it here. You can see it's a lot deeper, so it hides the wire better. On this one, the wire is quite visible in here, as you can see there. So what I'm going to end up doing is painting these somehow. I might paint all the edges black using PVA glue with black paint to try and hide the wiring better. So I'm going to jump forward and show you the finished shed so I can talk about the wiring. If you remember from the wiring diagram, the LEDs are each in a loop of 4, and you can see that here, which is the blue loop, and then they each have a common negative rail, which is the purple, and then each group is then powered by a separate positive supply, being the red, the yellow and the orange. So as we realised from the electrical diagram, I can't power all 12 from 12 volts because there's not enough voltage for the individual drops. Also, you might wonder, well, why don't I just put a resistor in each truss and then have a common positive supply? But I've noticed on previous models that the resistors get quite hot, so I don't want to run the risk of an accident having a hot resistor inside the cardboard. And lastly, I wasn't quite sure what resistor I'm going to need for the level of lighting I want, so having the resistors external to the engine shed allows me to change them at a later date and set whatever value I need for the kind of level of lighting that I want to have. This is the outer wall with the glazing, this is the inner wall, and the trusses sit in these slots up here. Thankfully, as you remember from the wiring diagram, one side of it, each alternate truss connects its wiring to the next one, so there's no need to run wiring through the walls or out. It's just going to connect this one to this one, and then this one to this one, and then this one onto the one that's part of the front entrance. Rather helpfully, there's actually a slot running down the middle of the wall between the inner and outer walls where I can put the wiring to join between each truss. So this is where I'm currently at. The inner wall, because the inner wall is going to be applied after the trusses have been glued in position and slid underneath, I've widened these gaps to allow that to work easier. This is the right hand wall. You notice that I've labelled everything up. So the right hand wall, that's the back, and that's the front where the entrance is. I've glued in here some wire to act as a negative rail, so the trusses for here, here and here will be the negative supply, and that wire is going to come out here. It's been marked there with a circle. And then the alternate ones are going to be a positive supply. I'm going to use the channel in the top again, but because the trusses block that channel along its full length, what I've done is I've cut a notch in here which is one wire deep, and then a double one here to allow the wiring to pass underneath the trusses and then down the side here, and you'll see that when I've added it. So you can see here the wiring in the wall. The negative wiring that comes up from the bottom doesn't need any insulation, but the other wiring is standard wiring. It's going to pass through the notch under the trusses and then all come out in the far corner, which makes life easy for putting the model onto the baseboards. This is it with the trusses in place and the walls all finished apart from the inner wall. I had to use a bit of black tape just to cover up some wiring to prevent any contact between wires. The only wiring visible apart from that coming out, which is going to be going effectively underground on the layout, is the wiring you can see in the channels here, but with the roof on that won't be visible. So far I'm impressed with the way the wiring's gone. It's all hidden away, and now I'm going to carry on with the roof section. So this is the current stage I've reached. I've got the floor panels in for each side. This is the end wall. This is the side wall where most of the wiring is positioned. I've also cut down the heat shrink sleeving shrouds on the lights to give a better spread. You can see here all the wiring. You've got 3 positive wires and 1 negative come out the bottom hole here. I was planning to have it under like a bit of pavement go into the smaller shed, but then I realised because they're all coming out together it's just easier to drill a hole in the baseboard and have it all come down there together. And you can see here the inner wall that I've used some excess leftover brickwork over there to cover that, just so that you can't see any bare card on it. The instructions say to paint the inside of the chimney pot stacks and the joiner cards before use, obviously black or grey to look like the inside of a chimney, but to avoid the mess I'm just going to use a black felt tip. Make sure I do carefully the edges and do that completely in black, just to cover up the grey card and look like the inside of a dirty chimney. So the interior is now complete. I've also added the barge boards you can see here. The roof's been finished. It's not really stuck on because I want to be able to take it off and have a look inside. A couple of details worth noting: the chimneys look really good with the matte black felt tip used to colour the inside. Looks like soot, a real good effect. I've also added here strips that were designed to cover the edge of the windows when they were stuck on the outside. I've put those on, just add another little bit of extra detail, which is nice. It says in the instructions there's supposed to be enough to run the excess down each side here, but actually I don't think there is. I've just put it on the top. I've got it so I can use it, so why not? I've also put some of the on the ridge tiles. The sheet I had, because I've been using up bits for other parts of the building, I had to go back to an old sheet I had, and actually the colours are slightly different, so that's something to watch out for. You can see that here. And the last item to build is going to be the workshop. This is the panel that folds around to form it. I've already stuck the windows on and the doorways. Because the interior is not modelled, I've put tracing paper on the back of each of the windows so that you can't see inside, and then obviously, as with the previous little Weybridge office, there'll be a LED inside just to have an interior light during the hours of darkness. So this is the workshop complete. Because I had the leftover light covers, I've made an extra one. Now I've got 3, one on each end and one on the front. The inside has got the same electrical circuit set up as each of the individual ones on the engine shed. So there's 3 lights outside and 1 LED on the inside with a resistor in series. I've got a terminal block in there to allow wiring to come in to be attached there, and a reminder there of which lead goes where. Hole cut in the bottom before gluing it in place to allow power to come up. And you should be able to see all that in there. I did notice that the lights on the outside produce quite a stark circle of light, so what I've done is put little bits of tracing paper in there just to diffuse it slightly, give it a better glow. So here it is with the roof on. There's a nice little chimney stack with the rolled up little curled tubes for the chimney pots on top. I put the ridge tile strip on, which is the pink one, because I think it makes a nice contrast with the roof. I've also had a bit of leftover from when I did the station. I've got the GWR chalkboard which I put by the door there, and this is how it looks in the dark. The lighting effect is really good, especially from these outside lights. It's a nice warm orange glow that you'd get with old-fashioned lighting, not like modern whitish blue lighting. And overall I'm impressed with that, the way that's going to look on the layout. So this is the overall look of the lighting. There's a nice warm sort of glow outside from these two lights. Interestingly, what I've done with the lights, the individual LED lights, is to put shrouds over made of tracing paper, similar to what I did with the goods shed, and that's given a much more even glow of light for the interior. What I hadn't realised I'd done was for the outside lights I'd put the LED sideways, which gives a much more even light. Overall I'm really impressed, as I usually am with Metcalfe Models. Instructions are clear and precise. It's nice that they've added some extra bits of brickwork that I can use for extra items like the lighting, and it's always good to use those leftover bits. As always, it's simple to add electrical elements for the lighting. Because of the layered construction you can hide the wiring really well. As I've said before, I enjoy doing these, so it's not just the nice end effect that you get of the models on the layout, but you get the fun of actually making them as well. Thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, if you subscribe, you can easily find the others, and feel free to leave any comments below. Come back soon. Bye bye.